Your emotional sense of things. Emotions are what might be called the language of the physical construct. For the body to express emotions is only natural. Emotions come from the everyday interaction of the physical body to various types of stimuli. Remember, we said, consciousness is. It was a product of the expanded awareness of the universe when you creators were birthed. As the holograms became more and more developed, their interaction with each other became more active. Bodies became more and more complex in their construction, and interaction increased with everything perceived. With this increased interplay with the bodies, consciousness began to develop a whole new characteristic you now call emotion. It is the interplay between emotions and beliefs in the environment of consciousness that provides you with your vast spread of experience and physicality. The body's senses, seeing, hearing, touch, taste, and smell, can be referred to as specialized agencies of the body's emotions. Everything you see, hear, touch, taste, or smell is an emotional response of the body. There is nothing that you can do in physicality that does not generate an emotional response. Your bodily containment extends far beyond your skin. Different individuals have different aura constructs. These body auras extend beyond your body and picks up data on everything that they come in contact with. All of the body's senses are part and parcel of the body's emotional makeup. It's impossible to have one without the other. That goes for all of your senses. When you have an idea that excites you, the whole body becomes exhilarated. When you are sad and depressed, your whole body reacts accordingly. All of these emotions are a result of that which you call physicality, because that is inherent in that which is physical. When you have an emotional response, it can be depressing when it is something tragic. It can be exhilarating when you're watching something that creates excitement. Emotional energy is created in physicality, within your very beingness. We call it emotional energy. We have no specific words for it, but if you were to burn yourself with baking grease on the hand, you would call that an emotional reaction because, ouch, it hurts. Then we call that emotional energy. What that does is it elicits a response within the physical construct. If you didn't have a response mechanism, you wouldn't have your important memory patterns recorded as anything significant. In other words, the baking grease, ouch. It elicits a response. That's decision making. You decide to either wipe it off and forget it, or you go over to the cold water tap and pour cold water on it so that it doesn't blister. It is a mechanism that requires a response of some nature. So anything that is directly body related or related to your mental processes, anything that creates that emotion, elicits a response. As you walk by something and you smell this beautiful odor, you immediately turn to look where it comes from. You have two things working in conjunction. The brain sorts through your data to identify it. To know whether to look for a perfume, to look for a flower, a piece of fruit, or somebody doing laundry and using fabric softener. You identify the smell as you look for where it is coming from, and this all goes into your brain. The brain compares it to stored information. You punch in the data and the brain is going to come out with a comparative experience because of the emotional content. Something that you hear that is very beautiful or something that you see that's very beautiful, you become overwhelmed. The eyes fill up with tears. That is an emotional response of the body. These are recorded in your brain. It is not only the eyes that respond, it is the whole body, the arms, legs, every part of your body responds. Physical beings often dissect certain portions of their body and say, "Oh, my eyes are tearing." Yes, and that's all they feel. Or my body is trembling. Your whole body actually is responding to all emotions. The significance of an emotional response is recorded. In other words, if you see this beautiful picture or hear this beautiful piece of music, then when you hear something similar to that same piece of music, or see some picture that is similar to the picture that moved you to that response, the response that you get is, well, I've seen or heard something similar to that. And I remember that when I saw or heard that I became so emotional, and I'm beginning to feel that again. This is a body emotion. Because of children being so close to that experience, called your dead zone, they still feel free enough to continue experimenting. In the dead zone, there are no consequences to your actions. Children, for example, experiment with the creation of joyful and frightening events, trying to ascertain for themselves the nature of their control over their own experience. They imagine joyful and terrifying experiences. They are in fact fascinated by the effects that their thoughts, feelings, and purposes have upon daily events. This is a natural learning process. If they create bogeymen, then they can cause them to disappear also. If their thoughts can cause them to become ill, then there is no real reason for them to fear illness, for it's their own creation. It is the constant concern of the parents if a child becomes ill. They will take them to doctors, put them to bed, and constantly tell them how brave my little boy or girl is. Children enjoy this constant attention, and a belief system is formed regarding illness. Then as grown-ups, you expect special treatment when that belief system produces what you call illness. What about when something is directed at you? It can be that one person, as we have said many times, she wakes up in the morning feeling grumpy. They take it out on the wife/husband and take off and go to work. The mate is all upset and takes it out on the kids. The kids go off to school and the kids are followed by the family dog, and the kids take it out on the dog. That is one way that it works. It goes all the way down the tube. The other thing that happens is, if the wife notices that the husband has some irritation and knows that he's going to have a bad day at the office, she won't pay any attention to it. If she is not feeling up to par, the kids are screaming and the dog is barking and he gets grumpy at breakfast and is in a hurry, she will grunt back at him and they've got a good confrontation going, which they don't release for the rest of the day. So you've got that situation going. If the husband wakes up and he's grumpy and he grumps at her, and she comes to the realization that, if I would get up a little bit earlier, instead of staying in bed until the very last minute, I could get up and have his breakfast ready for him when he needs to go to work. Then this could be avoided. So she learns something. Or if he gets in the car and says, "Now why did I take that out on her?" It's not her fault. She's doing the best she can with me and the kids and the dog. See what I'm referring to? In one place it's a lesson they are working out together. In one case he's understanding of the situation. In another place she's understanding. Lessons are always there to be learned. The other one that comes up constantly is that which you call your psychic community. The woman is of the psychic community and she's trying to change her husband to believe like she believes and her husband doesn't want to. Then there is nothing but confrontation, but I love him. There isn't ever going to be anything that's going to meet in that relationship until she decides to quit harping on him and keeps it to herself and watches her actions and reactions individually. If she loves him that much that she's willing to do that, then that's something else. Or if he gets to the point where he's saying, "You know, I really don't care about this and I'm not that much interested, but if you want somebody to talk to about it, I will listen." Another example is what you call road rage. It is that individual that has so many pent-up emotions and so much anger. They see somebody that is vulnerable and that's the person they are going to attack. Or they see a situation that they can vent through. That has nothing to do with the individual driving the car and is receiving all of this. It's two or more different plays, not necessarily having anything to do with each other. You just agreed, all right, if you want to get angry, go ahead. They are two plays in the same proximity to one another. But the interaction is not all emotional. There is no intended interaction necessarily. It is an emotional outlet for the person in rage because of their belief in their own vulnerability. If you didn't believe so strongly in your vulnerability, there would be no reason whatsoever for road rage. And there's vulnerability in both plays. What is memory? It is those events that have generated the largest amount of emotional content. That's why many events experienced by you and others that you were with at a particular time are remembered vividly by them and not remembered by you at all. This event did not stimulate any particular emotional response for you. All feelings, love, happiness, fear, depression, hate, joy, laughter, compassion, anger, etc., are expressions of emotions. When you come to these things like love, we call it an emotional response. We could call it a reaction or an action, which actually it is. You see, that isn't satisfying to people. You've had this word love that you've used for so long a period of time that it has become a viable thing. The manifestations of physical energy follow emotional rhythms. The emotional realization is what is important, not simply an intellectual acceptance. Heat and cold, joy and sadness, depression and elation, love and hate are all emotional responses. All being is a manifestation of energy, an emotional manifestation of energy. When you sit on a chair, it feels hard or soft. This is an emotional action of feeling. You think of volcanoes and earthquakes as natural events, while you do not consider human emotions as natural events in the same terms. Volcanoes and earthquakes are emotional expressions of the planet. It is difficult to comprehend, but every object that you perceive, grass or stone or any physical phenomena, has its own consciousness, its own emotional responses. All of your bodies expressing through physicality have emotions. Even your plants have emotional expressions. Plants respond emotionally according to their individual awareness. It will respond to the light, dark, heat, cold, wet, dry, and sound, for example. If a person wants to move a plant from one pot to another, if the plant is told the day before that it will be moved, the next day the plant will have completely removed itself from the inside of the pot. A conscious, emotional response. A plant will respond to sunlight, to darkness, to different sounds in different ways. It will respond to its food and its water and to animals and to people. Your time-lapse photography, if you have a chance to see that, will show you the response that a plant has to its everyday existence. It is very interesting. There again, the plant's movement is only one step above that of the rock, but it still contains the consciousness that elicits an emotional response. When you have observed the plants acting and reacting from different stimuli in its environment, and in watching that, you can watch a whole day of that interplay and interaction of a plant with its environment. It appears to be dancing. Every individual, every plant, every animal, fish, bird, rock, or blade of grass contains a different patterning. The interaction between you and another body of some kind stimulates an emotional response. That response can be of various and different magnitude of emotion that is either acted upon or non-acted upon. You respond to the interaction. The plants, animals, fish, birds, even blades of grass respond emotionally to you. Every body, animate or inanimate, that your five senses encounter changes your belief system and your emotions constantly. Every individual, animal, human, plant, and even rocks have their individual dance that they do in response to their environment. The humans are the only ones that funnel their emotions through their belief system to alter their emotional responses. A rock, a plant, even animals, have specific belief systems. You'll say, well, an animal does this and an animal does that and something else. But they are not working through a belief system to elicit an emotional response to a situation. You are the most highly evolved, and that makes a difference as to how you act and react to situations. An animal doesn't react to a situation, it acts. That is the only emotional response that an animal knows: action. Some people have asked, if these bodies are only holograms that are made to seem real by the indwelling me, then why don't the bodies just disappear when we die? In the beginning, when you first invented death, the bodies would disappear at death. The species could not handle that emotionally. The shock was too much to have loved ones just disappear in front of you. You changed things so that bodies would seem to just decay when you left the body in death. Others have asked, if me and my body are not the same thing, how do I make the connection to the body in order to experience the body's feeling, etc.? Your bodies are your only means of experience in physicality. So why wouldn't you make the connection? This is your point of focus. There is nothing else to give you what you need for expression. It is much like the driver of a large team of horses. You pick up all the numerous reins and drive the team. You do the same with the body. The body expresses itself through multiple systems. This is one of its fascinations. If you begin each physical expression with an eagerness to know, the body and you will have a grand time.